Mark it.
Go to take 2, A and B.
Recording and action.
Suppose I make it worth your while. You never know. If it all goes well, I might be taking a room.
My name is Stephen Ross. I'm production manager on Emmerdale. The directors and the producers wish the show to get bigger and bigger, and we have to work within our parameters of our time, our schedule, and our budget, and our resources available to us. So it's trying to achieve their vision, but do it within our capabilities. You've got to have a broad experience of all the jobs involved. You know, I mean, I have, in the past, I've swung a boom, I've helped lay track, I've been a set carpenter, I've done kind of corporate stuff. That I've worked on props, I've been in lighting crews, so I've got a broad expanse of everything. So you kind of need that overall knowledge just to understand the kind of process that people have to go through. I would say you've got to definitely be organised, be a good communicator, and generally kind of try and get on with everybody. And you've got a lot of people to try and please. I would say anybody who wants to kind of get into television, they've got to come in. If they come in at an entry level, such as a runner, they've got to take the opportunity and soak up as much information as possible and just ask people questions. You know, everybody's kind of quite happy to talk about what they do and the experience that they've got. So just ask as much as you can and glean as much experience from everybody as you can.
Take 2, A and B.
My name is Chris Ramage and I'm a lighting cameraman at ITV. I'm basically responsible for how the show looks and, you know, the atmosphere with regard to lighting. I think the most enjoyable thing is creating some beautiful looking scenes or shots within the day. Even if you've just got a two-hander on a park bench that you can make look really nice with lighting.
Recording and action.
Suppose I make it worth your while. If all goes well, I might be booking a room.
If anyone wants to become a DOP or an LCO, I think it's good to have a good knowledge of camera work, good knowledge of optics and a good knowledge of lighting and different types of lights. But I think you can gain all that within the industry, but it's just important to have enthusiasm and a good work ethic. I think that those are the primary factors, and I think if you're willing to work hard, then you can get anywhere, and that goes for any job in this industry. I just think you need a break, and once you get an opportunity, it's important to take advantage of that.
And we cut. Thank you.
You've got to be prepared to work from the bottom up. You have to. So I worked my way up the camera assisting ladder for 9 years, and I only was very recently, as in last June, properly promoted to a camera operator. As a camera operator, we look at our creativity, but as a camera assistant, you are completely relied upon to be technically minded. You've got to be prepared to get your hands dirty. You know, you'll be changing lenses, you'll be doing the clapperboard. You don't necessarily have had to have been to university. We do have camera assistants here that haven't been off to do a university course. A basic interest in photography. Just even if you've just got your mobile phone and you like taking tiny movies, that's brilliant.
If she loves him, she loves him.
It's going to be the third time.
My name is Kate Oates, I'm series producer here at Emmerdale. I'm generally across storylines, I'm across the scripting process, I'm across the creation of new characters, the casting of new characters. I work with the directors to sort of impart how we feel a story should be told. They then impose their vision on it too. I liaise with all the actors. I'm a port of call for them if they need anything or if I want to let them know what I want specifically from a character or a story. I then work with the directors when something's been shot, view it, decide whether or not it's how I want it to look, and then I work with the network as well, making sure that we basically fulfil all our obligations to them. So it's a pretty varied job. We have a number of long-term conferences a year, and then every month we have a short-term conference. So I've got a big room full of writers all brimming with ideas, and it's my job to bring those all together and try and get a clean line along with my story team of where we're going to go the next month.
My name is Maxine, Alderton, and I'm a writer for Emmerdale. Today is story conference, so we spent this morning talking through some of the bigger stories and the long-term arcs, and then off the back of that a story document is produced, and if you're lucky enough you'll get given a story document, and that is the blueprint for your episode. So essentially my job is to sit at home for 3 weeks, break down that document and make it the best episode of Emmerdale that I can. It's quite a competitive job. It's quite difficult to get a foot in the door, but I would say just keep at it, keep going, keep pitching a story, and I would say just write as much as you can in your spare time and just really refine your experience really, and just try and get as much stuff down and finished as you can.
My name's Matt Cleary. I'm the head of production at Emmerdale. The head of production role is about getting Emmerdale off the printed page and onto the screen. So that has overall responsibility for the budgeting, the scheduling, the production of Emmerdale, including all of its resources, so the people, the equipment that we use, the studios and facilities that we have, all the way through post-production and onto the delivery of the show. Imogen, can you just have a look at this studio today? Because we've got a problem in Studio 2, and we might just need I got a job via a temping agency doing office-based work at Granada Television in Manchester, and that gave me a way into becoming a production secretary and coordinator and production manager, working mainly in entertainment and factuals. And then I moved into more senior management and eventually came here to Emmerdale. I think the advice that I would give to people who want a job like mine is to just work really hard at building your network, building your contacts, and working out what it is that you're good at. Because in a job like mine, there are so many different aspects to it that lots of different people could apply their skills effectively to do it.
I'm Sheehan-Dare and I'm head of costume down at Emmerdale. I read the scripts, which I do every 2 weeks, so we do 6 hours of television in that amount of time, and then once I've read them I start to do the directors' meetings, and then I start to buy all the costumes that are required for that, and 2 weeks later I start all over again. The biggest things that we do are weddings. So about 6 weeks before, I will go and see the producer. We'll go with ideas, and I'll say, this is the sort of thing I'm thinking. Is this how you're seeing it? And then I also speak to production to make sure that we're not going to need repeat numbers of them. So if they have an accident, a food fight, or those sort of things, which is what happened with this particular scenario. I did a fashion degree. Most people have done sort of fashion or some other sort of design. You also have to have fantastic people skills because you're dealing with so many different aspects. You know, you're dealing with artists, and they're obviously nervous in some points before they go on set, so you've got to be very careful that you make them feel comfortable and happy. But obviously you need a very strong design eye and very organised as well. We're running, as you can maybe see in the background, this is just the line-up room. We share all these costumes, we run at sometimes 6 different units at once. So you've really got to be very, very organised at whatever level, whether you're dressing or assisting or a supervisor or like ourselves in the design office, you've got to have a very strong organisational skill.
I'm Gillian Slight and I'm head of set design at Emmerdale. The thing I love most about my job is that it is very varied, and I love drama, so I love getting involved in the whole the storylines and being able to influence what happens in the stories through the sets.
So you can see that he's got a fair way to go.
It has a fall, and then it's something that happens to him at the bottom.
Yeah.
So when a new character is introduced into the show, part of my job is to analyse that character. And I would do this through various means. I would speak to the producer about this. I would also speak to costume and makeup to find out how they are going to dress and make up the character. So it gives us a full picture of who this person is, which is really important in designing a set. I mean, this one in particular, this is Bernice's salon. I mean, Bernice is a character we're all really familiar with, and we know she's aspirational. She thinks she's very sophisticated. So we thought the soft greys and pinks and the florals would be particularly appropriate to her character. So it was a great fun set to design because we knew that she would have thought of every aspect. When designing sets, you have to consider the practicalities of shooting multi-camera in the set, that you will have 3 cameras all shooting at the same time, as well as having to cover sound. So there are almost 2 kind of sides to the set. There's the wall finishes and the nice little touches, but actually if the set doesn't work in a practical way for sound and cameras, then actually it doesn't work at all. The courses that run currently for design in film and television cover lots of areas like storyboarding, as well as technical drawing and graphics too. So they're all really important skills for entry level, and you will probably start off as an assistant in an art department and work your way up to standby art director and eventually art director. So experience is really important too, but there are basic skills that you would really have to have.
Okay, let's stand by from the lines then, please. This is 14 scene 2, everyone. Nice and quiet, please. This one starts with Louise and action.
Andy, breakfast!
My name is Michael Lacey and I'm a director for Emmerdale and Coronation Street. You kind of get your scripts and you have to analyse them, read through them, form an interpretation of those scripts. Then you have a meeting with the director's meeting with the producer and assistant producer and other head of departments. And those scripts then kind of evolve slightly and go way back to the writers. And obviously then you've got the production side, which involves shooting. You form such an interpretation of the script. You've basically planned everything. So what you have to do is you normally line run something with the actors, spend time with the actors, block it with them. Louise, as if you was making toast, I've got you kind of here at the And then what I normally do is you work very closely with your number one camera operator. And then once you've got him on the same page, then he can orchestrate the other cameras to kind of roughly give you what you want.
And action.
Andy, breakfast!
The editor is cutting really as you're filming. So you'll get in and the block is more or less cut anyway. And then you'll go in and put your stamp on it and kind of do what you want to do. And then the scary bit is the viewing. And the viewing is when just you, the editor and the producer, ultimately sit in a room and hopefully they're pleased with everything you've done.
So what are you buying this time?
My name is Elisa Cherene Holliday and I'm a staff editor at Emmerdale. So when we start to cut, we just make sure about performance, which is the most important part, and we mix and match all the takes that we have to get the best performance for that particular line even. You understand the characters really well. We have an idea of what's going to happen in the future. When you cut with that in mind, so you put looks, you put very subtle things that will make a difference later on. And I think that's the most fun thing. You do need to have a really big interest in storytelling and the nuances of the story, because all the different dimensions of the story, not just the black and white, that person's good, that person's bad, and that's it. It's just you need to have, understand and enjoy, actually, enjoy all the facets of a story.
Every single day is different. It's never boring. It's not like you do if you're doing a police drama. You do a lot of police. On this, we do weddings, christenings, funerals, huge stunts. Everything is interesting and exciting.
It's also a great place to be. Emmerdale is a national treasure in my eyes. I grew up watching it. I don't watch it anymore because, well, we don't finish till 7:30 some days, so we miss it.
It's about storytelling. It's about working with characters. And one of the challenges of soap is that it never stops. So you've always got to keep coming with those ideas. So it has to be someone who loves drama, loves storytelling, and wants to just basically keep going with it.